Remember when candidate Donald Trump said, "We're going to drain the swamp"?
We are going to Washington, D.C., and we are going to drain the swamp.
Well, as the world churns through a grueling rematch election in 2024, President Trump may very well have pulled the plug on the swamp. That's today's Cosmic Reckoning. Donald J. Trump may have lost the 2020 election to Joe Biden, wink, wink, but his actions as the 45th president may have established him as the most consequential president of our lifetimes. Following through on his campaign promise to select originalist justices to the Supreme Court, Trump brought about a generational shift of power from Washington, D.C. back to the American people. On June 24, 2022, Roe v. Wade was struck down in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization on the grounds that the substantive right to abortion was not, quote, deeply rooted in this nation's history or tradition, end quote, nor was it considered a right when the Due Process Clause was ratified in 1868. After 51 years of living with the choice of 7 black-robed justices, the question of when the right to life begins was given back to the American people. On June 28, 2024, the Supreme Court vacated a 1984 doctrine known as Chevron deference, which allows federal agencies broad latitude in interpreting laws when Congress hasn't provided specific guidelines. And this is where the emergence of the deep state, or as Vivek Ramaswamy more aptly names it, the managerial state, comes into play. You see, politicians come and go with each election, but federal bureau rats remain. By allowing federal agencies the power of interpretation where Congress was not explicit, the government was able to enact all kinds of political agendas and shenanigans without the direct permission of Congress. But it also made Congress lazy. Rather than thoughtful and clear legislation, they increasingly shirked obligations of lawmaking to federal agencies. Hello, do we not all remember we have to pass it to find out what's in it?
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. And basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to getting the thing to pass.
Because of President Trump's Supreme Court picks, unelected federal bureaucrats were disarmed of their unchecked power. The swamp is about to be drained. And it will also force our representatives to do what we elected them to do, write good legislation. We, the people, it's the foundational principle of our Constitution. This is what makes the United States great. That landmark decisions of life and power are supposed to be made by us, the citizens. As Ronald Reagan said, freedom is never free. It must be fought for, defended, and taught to the next generation. The price of freedom is the responsibility of each of us to wrestle with these challenging issues, to find compromise and consensus. The alternative is a dictatorship of the ruling class. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Even out of office, Donald Trump is making America great again.